You can find the accompanying PDF for this build. It has the cut list as well as instructions for everything you need start to finish to complete this greenhouse at highpinescultivation.com. All right, folks, so we're going to try to keep this walkthrough relatively short. This is a 16 by 24 foot greenhouse that we designed here at High Pines Cultivation as an easy solution for growers and small-time farmers to build a relatively decent sized greenhouse for cheap. So first of all, you should find a place that's dry. Even though these plates are pressure treated, it's nice to have them dry. Good drainage around the greenhouse, clear of debris overhead, trees, limbs, etc., and a good exposure in sunlight. So you start by measuring out your plot, putting your base plates down, which are all pressure treated, and then building these knee walls on top of the 24-foot sides of the greenhouses. The knee walls are about 2 foot high from bottom of the plate to the top of the plate, and you have to with 16 footers you kind of have to splice in a 16 and an 8 footer in order to complete the length, but when these are all adhered together they should be completely sturdy. And so after which we'll start building the hoop construction. So there's two portions to the hoop framing, and the reason we do this is to negate any framing that would usually be necessary on the inside of the structure to support a roof like this. So there's two portions to this hoop construction, and it's designed so that there's 12 points around this circle here, evenly divided and spaced. The first part of the hoop you can lay out on the ground. You're going to have to make 7 of these things. So it takes a little bit of time in construction, but that's the worst of this build in terms of time spent. So you can lay out one of these on the ground according to the lengths given to us in the PDF, and then you can kind of tack them together with some screws, especially on the points there. You kind of have to toenail them together, but once the second portion of the hoop construction goes on, you'll end up adhering and nailing these two together, especially at least 2 screws where they meet at either intersections, so that end result, each one of these hoops becomes a sturdy piece. Now once you've put all 7 of those together and toenailed them here on your plates, you can put some bracing up to make sure that those don't fall while you're working around it. Probably wise to use 2 people to lift these into place, at which point you'll end up putting your strapping around at each intersection, at each point of the framing. So there's 11 pieces of strapping here. It doesn't matter whether you put them on this side of the point or the other, but it's nice to be consistent as you go, because we're going to end up putting hoops over that. So we like to use the 1.5" PVC. Each of these pieces, I believe, 27 feet long, for a total of 200 feet of that 1.5" PVC, and those just get bent over the peak. It's nice to attach them at the bases, and perhaps one at the peak. You can attach them at every internode or every other if you so choose, but it's good to have a washer that will fit the small head of a screw so that your screws don't pull through that plastic. They really adhere it well. A good note is to make sure you have room here at the very bottom plate, because we're going to end up putting the track down there that holds the plastic. So there's a hole cut list as well for the end walls. Relatively simple. I like to put them on the flat, and they get toenailed into this first hoop here. Every 2 feet on center, and the same with the front, although there's a construction here for our doorway, which is large enough for the bucket of the tractor to get into, and we're going to build 2 outward swinging doors that hinge in that doorway. There's also room up top here for a ventilation fan, and you can put any number of incoming ventilation on this wall as well, although it's not included in this design price. The fan and the plastic is, as well as the materials that are shown here. So the door construction is relatively simple. There's bracing here. The cut list that is in the PDF will give you all the dimensions necessary to fit very nicely inside of this opening with room for hinging and swinging outwards. That plastic can be adhered with strapping, or you can get extra channel and wire that holds that plastic on. All that C-channel that keeps the plastic on wraps around each end wall here, around the entirety of the door. So your plastic is getting pulled down and adhered to this framing and inside that channel. The same on the back end, very simple, and along the end, along these long wall bases as well. So it's completely enclosed and tied on all ends. Take a look at future take a look on high alpines. Take a look at high pines. Visit us at High Pines. Visit us at High Pines Cultivation for that PDF. And if you have any questions or edits to this build, let us know.